And welcome back, YouTube. This is Mr. Baxbuster, here with another video. Today I'm going to be doing a full review of the video game Violett from the Nintendo Switch eShop. This game was developed and published by the same company, that company being Forever Entertainment SA. Now Violett is a very classic style point-and-click adventure starring the main character, Violett. One thing to note about this game, there is no spoken dialogue whatsoever. It's all in the form of sim speak whenever the characters speak, and they use pictures to show what the characters want to like exchange or progress the story of the game. Kinda cool. There is some written words in the form of a diary that were left behind by a previous adventurer throughout the lands. Now, the story of Violett starts with Violett in the backseat of a car with her parents as they're moving to a new house, this particular house right here, in the middle of a very nice, wilderness area. One day, Violett's parents happen to be having a big argument, and Violett, understandably, is having a very hard time dealing with this, so she goes up to her room and kind of secludes herself in her room. While she's in her room, she looks over and notices a glimmer coming from a mouse hole in the wall. Now, she happens to dig into the mouse hole, and when she pulls her hand out, she finds a very lovely silver necklace with a huge pendant right in the front. However, she may have bit off more than she could chew, as the pendant suddenly transfers her to a world of very magical wonder and full of danger. This is where the story really begins. Now, during your adventure through this magical land, you'll meet creatures of all shapes and sizes. Just to share with you here, you will meet giant intellectual caterpillars, fashionable termites, cuckoo clock birds, giant grasshoppers, opera-singing frogs, and so on and so on. This game, I have to give it credit. This game has some incredible character design. Very imaginative, very bright. On your quest through the game is to rebuild the pendant that shattered on your way to this magical land that you found hidden in that mouse hole. The way to do this is to basically just explore the land, help out the creatures in need, and exchange items for other items that the creatures may want to help you out in return. Once you obtain all the pendants, all the pieces of the pendants, then you are told that you can return home after you face the final challenge. I won't spoil the final challenge though. Along your adventure, you will see tiny orbs strewn about the scenery, background, foreground, even inside random, boxes, drawers, teapots. And these orbs are kind of like your life gauge and power gauge. They're not necessary, but I do recommend collecting as many as you can find. You don't need all of them, but I would recommend trying to at least do kind of like a comb the scenery once, comb the foreground, background once, just to try to find as many as you can, because trust me, they will help you out in the final part of the game. Now, with all that said, that's pretty much the basics of the game. Controls of the game are very simple for the most part. They are a little finicky because sometimes with point-and-click adventures, sometimes they don't always want to respawn. You know, you click on something and it doesn't always respawn right away, so you think it's no good, and then it's like, oh, I just wasn't standing in the right spot. So that's a little bit annoying. Although Violett will usually give a little sign if it's something that she's not able to access at that point in time. So controls are very simple. B gives you the hint system, which is this little icon right here. You get 4 hints per level. You don't need to activate them, but they sure are helpful if you get stuck. A is the select button, so if you move the mouse over something, you can select it. And X accesses your little backpack up here, which stores all the items that you can collect throughout the game. Y is basically used to enter and exit new areas. Or not new areas, but basically to leave the area. Like, see it says Y, you press Y and then you go down the stairs, go up the stairs, climb the ladder, that type of action. This game also features a very unique, what I like to call snap feature. As you click one of these buttons and it'll snap to the nearest thing that Violett can interact with, like the door up there, like this little light switch, like the caterpillar. That is something really cool and neat about this game, is it has an instant snap feature. That's why you don't have to worry about dragging the stick all the way around the game. And another feature, which I personally did not use the entire game, is the game does feature touch controls, but unfortunately I do not know how responsive they are, as I did not use it. So use that at your own risk, because I never used it. But the game does feature touch controls. Alright, so with all that said, I want to talk about some good things I liked about the game, some bad things I liked about the game, and just the final overall verdict. So some things I found really enjoyable about this game were the graphics. The graphics are actually really well done. They range from bright and colorful to drab and basically like cold, just very, you know, drab and dreary, basically. And I like that a lot. There's a nice, because each area is a little bit different, and you never really know what you're going to get when you go into each area. Let's just go down here for a second and I'll show you a basement scene just to kind of show you what it looks like. I found this area to be really, I mean, just look at the bright colors, well, and the cartoony graphics are also very nice, and honestly they're going to really not go outdated anytime soon. They're definitely going to be graphics that, like 5 years from now, are still going to look pretty good for what it is. I guess time-tested graphics, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Very nice. Another thing I love the hint system. It helps you when you're stuck, but not necessary to complete the game. Let me tell you, I definitely used the hint system more than once, and it helped me out throughout the game. It saved me from having to look up a guide online a few times, I will say that. But for those who are determined not to use it, you don't have to use it. It's completely optional. You never have to use the hint system at all. It's never forced upon you. It's there if you want it, but you don't have to use it. I like that fact. And I love the snap system too. You see the cursor moving around there? I just love how you could snap to any interactable object and you don't have to worry about trying to find it all yourself. That is a very good feature of the game as well. This fact kind of goes back to the hint system. The game is moderately challenging. You definitely will have to think about how to do some puzzles, what interacts with what. That is definitely something that is challenging about the game. It has a moderate challenge. It's not impossible by any means, but it's definitely moderately challenging. You may find yourself wanting to look up a guide a time or two, even after the hint system may fail you. But it's definitely, I call it a pretty fun game for the most part. And the last thing I want to mention is the credit scene. The credit scenes are actually done really well, as what they do is they kind of make caricatures of each of the staff members of the game. Like, it's really cool. It makes you actually pay attention to the credits instead of just wanting to skip the credits and move on to the next game right away. So they definitely did a good job making you want to stay to the end of the credit scene. Now there's going to be a couple of things that I'm going to say that I didn't care for the game. The first thing is the music and some sound effects. The music is very minimal. There's only probably about a few tracks in the game. Otherwise, it's mostly ambient noise. You know, it's basically just like crickets in the trees, the wind rustling, that type of thing. There's not a lot of music, and the music that is there, it's very drab, very depressing, I almost want to say. So I didn't care for the music. Although it does kind of fit the feel of the game. I don't know, the music options just weren't doing it for me. And the sound effects, and the very final level of the game, there's some ear-grating sound effects. Oh my god, I almost turned the volume completely off because I didn't want to deal with it. They were ear-piercing, like, oh, bad. Another issue I had with this game, which is more or less personal dislike, once again, just like the music, was this room right here. This is your hub world for the first about third of the game or so, maybe quarter to third of the game, and it is annoying to navigate, and it is annoyingly long process of Violett running around from each door to stairway to door to stairway. It's just unnecessarily complicated. I do love that being inspired by MC Escher. That is a great, inspiration to take from, but it's just so annoying to have to go from room to room, and it's not really a maze because it's pretty easy to figure out, but it's just more time consuming than anything because you got to go from one side to the other side, to the triangle side, to the rectangle side. It's just more work than it needs to be. Compared to the Caterpillar room, which is the second hub world of the game, is much more confined, much more concise. Just, it takes much less time to get around. There is something else I want to share. And my third gripe with this game is the movement. Violett is in no hurry in this game. She moves fairly slow, especially up and down a ladder. And there's a segment in this game where Violett has to climb up, I kid you not, 5 ladders, talk to a person, climb back down the 5 ladders, obtain the item, climb back up the 5 ladders, talk to another person, climb back down the 5 ladders. So literally you're going up and down the ladders like 4 times. And it's just so grating of a process to do it. In my opinion, very unnecessary. I wish... And there's no fast travel option either, so you have to go through each area every single time. Like, if you reach a dead end, you have to go all the way back. Or if you finish an area, you have to go all the way back. You can't just... There's no, like, quick travel option. So sometimes you're going to be spending quite a bit of time just getting from point A to point B. I just want to share with you guys the ladder room, just so you guys understand what I'm talking about. I think this is ladder room. Yes. So, in this room, you had to climb a whole bunch of ladders, and I just want to share with you what it's like when you get to the top. How long it takes. While Violet's doing that, I want to talk about the last griping point of this game. Well, not the last. There's one other thing. Sometimes items are hard to tell what they are. So, when you pick up an item, you don't exactly know what it is, and sometimes it's hard to figure out where to put it, which is, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes a little bit annoying. But the last biggest gripe I have with this game is the silver ring. And for those who have played this game, you probably understand what I'm talking about. In order to progress in the game, you have to give Mr. Caterpillar 2 rings. The gold ring is super easy to find. In fact, you get that just by solving a simple puzzle. The silver ring is in a way out of the way place. Well, not way out of the way place, but just in a place that has absolutely no indication that a silver ring would be there, and it's just unnecessary. It's literally in the stair room, next to the first door, in a hidden drawer on the wall. Now how am I supposed to know that it's there? I spent literally, I think, at least a good hour, maybe close to 2 hours looking for it. I had to consult a guide. My only time in this game I had to consult a guide was for that silver ring. And once I found it, I was able to beat the rest of the game without much help from other than the hints. But the hints don't even tell you where the ring's at. So how are you supposed to beat the game without either finding it accidentally or consulting a guide? That was annoying. So, with all that said, overall, I think Violett is still a pretty good game. This game often goes on sale on the Nintendo Switch eShop, and you could usually pick it up for, honestly, less, probably about... I picked it up for, like, under $1, so if you could pick it up for that price, I say it's definitely worth picking up. But I still love the graphics. The character design is fantastic. The story is very simple, but honestly, for a point-and-click adventure, you don't always need a great story. The point-and-click adventure is usually the fun of it. And I love the hint system and the instant snap system. That helps out a lot. It does have some negatives. The music is not my favorite, but it's definitely not the worst music I've heard. It's mediocre. Except for the ear-grating sound effects in the last room. That is, unnecessary. Violett does move a little bit slow. It's not always the fastest game. So you will be spending some time moving from place to place. The silver ring is just unnecessarily hidden. So with all that said, how would I rate Violett? There were no crashes, so that is great. That I never had to restart the game because of any bug issues. And like I said, I've pretty much said everything else about the game. I did enjoy playing this game. I got frustrated a couple times, but I did enjoy it. I did not find myself wishing that I was playing another game, or find myself raging. So that's good. Overall, I would have to give Violett a solid 6.5 out of 10. Is it a perfect game? No. But it's a fun point-and-click adventure. It has a good length of probably a good 5 to 10 hour length, depending on how observant you are and how fast you are to pick up on certain things. And like I said, the graphics are going to be time tested. This game is going to look good 5 years from now. Overall, solid 6.5 out of 10. The bad does not outweigh the good for this game, which is a good thing. I enjoyed it, and if you could pick it up at a good price, I think you would enjoy it too. Final verdict, 6.5 out of 10. This has been Booster Box Buster reviewing the video game Violett for the Nintendo Switch, the point-and-click adventure that is fun, but not without its issues. Signing out.